G'day guys, welcome back to another video. So as some of you may know who watch my channel already, we bought this Jayco Journey 17.58-3 brand new back in 2018, and this was the first van that we've ever owned and towed. So in the last couple of years we've picked up a few tips and tricks I'd like to share with you today that made our life a little bit easier and a bit more comfortable while touring on the road. So let's get straight into it. Okay guys, so the first tip today is carry some spare parts, okay? And it doesn't have to be extensive by any means, and this is in addition to ordinary tools that you would keep with your car and your van anyway. So a few that I carry in our van, probably one of the things we go through the most is water fittings. So I do use the brass water fittings for the majority of them, but I do have a few plastic water fittings like this universal one here. So water fittings are one of those things that do fatigue, especially these plastic ones, and they do break a fair bit, and there's nothing worse than rocking up to a caravan park and not be able to get water because your parts are broken as well. So as well, I carry a couple of these little screw-on fittings as well that do go into the caravan park taps, and make sure you keep these in a universal size so they can fit on more than just one style of tap. In addition, it's only a matter of time before you drive off from a caravan park and forget to take this off the tap that you've just put on. So always carrying a few extra water fittings is always a great idea. So next spare parts I carry here, some of the brace knobs that you have on your awning. These are just the black screw-on knobs that go underneath the locking tabs. Now these are pretty basic, they're only about $20 or so, but if these come off while you're traveling on corrugated roads or whatnot, it's going to make your awning pretty hard to use. You're going to use a lot of straps and whatnot to tie it down to make sure it's safe. So having them just means if we do accidentally lose one, we can still use the awning when we pull up to camp out in the bush. Now anode rods, depending on the type of trips you do and how often you use your van, you might not need to carry one of these in the van, but definitely handy to have one on hand even at home in between trips. So these things are for your hot water system. They prevent your tank rusting, and they're a sacrificial metal rod here that absorb the element within the water. So they only last about 6 to 18 months depending on your water quality and how much water you go through in your van as well. So if you're traveling full time, definitely something you want to have in your van, but if you're just doing weekend trips, have one of these handy at spare at home so you can change them when you need to. It's also handy just to carry some general items as well. So I carry a whole bunch of hose clamps as well. There's a lot of plumbing underneath these vans. So a lot of hose clamps, cable ties, a lot of screws and glue as well for the cabinetry. So if anything comes loose or we lose something off-road, then we can replace that on the tracks and keep using what we have. Okay, so my next tip, a little trick that I have here as well, is this little piece here. Now I've spoken about this previously in one of my other videos. This is just a little 19mm extended shank socket piece, and it's designed to fit onto the stabilizing arms that come with these Jayco Journey Outbacks. What this does is it replaces the factory equipment you get, which is this long tool here, and tell you what, it makes it a lot easier. Watch this. So when you rock up to camp with the factory equipment, you're sticking it in there. And that's how you go about leveling up your van on all four corners. So what we can do now is grab our 19mm shank, stick it into our power drill. There you go, do that 4 times, and I reckon you can get all 4 down before you get one down with your factory equipment. So this little piece here for 20 bucks, I'd definitely recommend it. Okay guys, so the next thing is clotheslines. So most people do carry some sort of clothesline with them, whether it's a piece of rope between trees or the fancy ones that you fold up and get from BCF that store away in your van. Now I used to have one of the fold up ones, but I tell you what, they are frustrating. They take up a whole lot of room, and they're just not that great in my opinion. So short of going through with a rope between a couple of trees, found this idea on one of the forums. It's just a couple of PVC pipes cut up, and then it's got a whole lot of clothesline you just buy from Bunnings, and it goes between the awning arms. So I'll set it up and I'll show you how it works. So you can see here, it's just a PVC pipe, and it uses itself to wrap around the awning arm, and then 2 lines of washing line there, all the way down to the other end where it's exactly the same. So once you got one side set up, just pull it over the awning arm, wrap it around, the lines go around either side of the PVC pipe, and put a bit of weight on there, ready to dry all your clothes. When you want to fold it up, you just roll it up onto one of the PVC pipes and you stack it away like that, and it's a lot simpler and a lot smaller than one of the ones you buy from the shops. So one great tip that I've picked up on our Jayco Journey is the toilet hatches, okay? So we have a combined toilet shower ensuite inside here, and this is the hatch here that leads into the canister. So one thing I've done is figured out that the space between the canister and the hatch is enough there to house a couple of the bottles of chemicals. Now if you guys have toilets and have used them before, these chemicals do have an odour to them, and they are fairly strong. It's not something you really want to be storing inside your van. So by storing them inside here, it keeps them out of the way, sealed up, and it means that your van's not going to smell like toilet chemical. Okay, so there always seems to be some sort of modification you can do with storage, and storage is always at a premium when you're camping or living out of caravans. So one thing that we've found really handy, and we've used in quite a few places in our van, is a particular product by a brand called Fusion Lock, and they're purchased through Bunnings Warehouse, and it's these little caddies that we use here. We've got a few of the caddies, we've also got a few of the hooks as well that act as towel rails in our bathroom. The one that we use here is just a bathroom caddy that we use to keep our soap, dishwashing liquid and a sponge, and it's held on by two suction type mounts on the back of it, sticking to the kitchen wall there. So after all the driving we've done, all the off-roading we've done, we've never really had a problem with them. Every now and then we might have one that falls off, but overall they've been awesome and they do stick. Even on this textured surface, the splashback behind the kitchen here, these two here seem to hold up really, really well. And look, every now and then we just give them a few extra pumps with the little pump you get with it, and that's just on a little suction mount behind there, and look, it really doesn't move, and definitely worth the money in my opinion. So next tips I have are for the fridge inside the van. So we use a 164 litre 3-way Thetford fridge, and as you probably know, if you have one of these fridges or if you've seen them, there's no way of monitoring inside what sort of temperatures they are. So we've bought this dual temperature gauge from Accurite, and they come with little sensors. There's two of them just like this, and one goes inside the fridge, one goes inside the freezer, and we can keep an eye on exactly what sort of temps they're running at. Now, although I'm not too fussed at rough temperatures, what I can do is I can set alarms on that display up there, and that will alarm me as to whether anything's gone wrong with the system for whatever reason that the fridge might not be working. So very helpful when you're on gas out camping, you don't realise that you've run out of gas on one of your bottles and the fridge turns off. So I'll chuck a link in the description below as to where I got them from. Okay, so this next tip I have also relates to the fridge as well, and it's to prevent the frosting up that sometimes occurs on the fins that cool it down. So on these 3-way fridges, there's a whole bunch of fins at the back of this top shelf of the fridge, and that's what gets cold, and then it's what keeps the rest of the fridge cold. But as you guys might have heard and or seen on some of the forums around the place, these fins are very prone to frosting up, and as they frost up they become less and less effective, especially since there is a temperature sensor that regulates the temperature on one of those fins that are prone to frosting up. So one thing that I've found to assist with that is to buy one of these little units here. This is a small, really, really low powered fan, and it just provides a really gentle breeze that I point towards those fins, and it stops them from frosting up so easily. So it's a very small unit. It takes a couple of D-size batteries, and as you can see in here, it doesn't make any noise, and it's a very low sort of power draw. So those batteries do last quite a long time. So you can see in there that cylinder type styled fan spinning around in there, and that just helps provide a little bit of movement of air within the fridge, and not only does it help prevent frosting on the fins, but it also helps provide an even cool temperature throughout the fridge just by circulating the air a little bit more. Now in addition to circulating the air a little bit, it also has a section on the back here which houses a small little pouch of a carbon type material, and that gets that sort of filters the air as it comes through the fan there, and that helps prevent any bad odors and just helps keep the air nice and clean and smelling fresh every time you open up the fridge. So in my opinion, I saved the best tip to last, okay? So we do a lot of off-grid camping away from caravan parks and away from mains power and water. The one thing we've realized is we're pretty good for power, but water always seems to be the limiting factor, and with a family of 4 we tend to chew through it quite quickly, especially when you're including showers. So every little bit that we can save does help. So one thing that we've done is we first bought this van, notice this sink here is quite large. So when you want to wash your dishes, you want to fill that up with some water to wash, you're going to be using a lot of water and essentially wasting a lot of water. So we bought these little pop-up colander and bucket combination here, which is stored inside the sink when we're traveling. This bucket here it's just a good size to be doing some dishwashing in. So instead of using that full entire sink, we'll just stick that inside the sink instead, fill that up, and we can much more efficiently wash our dishes and not have to waste all the water there. Now, in addition to that, at the front of our van, down this front corner, is our hot water system, and behind the camera, on the exact opposite side of the van, is our shower. So when we have a shower at night, we've got to wait for all that water from the front of the van, the hot water anyway, to get through to the back of the shower. And obviously while you're waiting there, you're probably not going to be pouring yourself with cold water, so it does waste a bit of water. So what we do instead is we get our shower water that's still cold and we put it straight into this bucket, and we'll probably get about half the bucket or so while waiting before we get the hot water, which we can use for a shower, and that will become our dishwashing water. And all we have to do then is just boil a kettle with a small bit of water in there, add it to it, and you've got some warm water for washing your dishes and nothing wasted there. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's quick little video on all the tips that we've picked up. What I'd love to do though is I'd love to hear about some of the tips and tricks that you guys have come up with. Seems like this list is never ending, and we're always keen to learn some more. So if you have some, chuck them in the comments below, and I would love to hear about them. Otherwise, if you like this particular video, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. And we do try and put out a few videos on both our Land Cruiser 200 series and the van as well. So make sure you subscribe and you get notified of all of them. Again guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.